Ahmad bin Hanbal as well, they say that he used to take Ijma' of the Sahaba. What we know from Ahmad bin Hanbal that he used to disagree about Ijma' altogether. But this is what people of his madhab.
Can I just stop you there for 1 second
yes.
first? Because you mentioned a quote about Imam Ahmad never used
Ijma'
Sahaba or any form of Ijma'.
Yeah.
But he's quoted as saying, let me just find it here. He said that anyone who claims Ijma' after the Sahaba has lied. And this is also agreed by Imam al-Shirazi in his book Al-Luma fi Usul al-Fiqh, where he says that Imam Dawood saying the Ijma' of the Sahaba is not binding. So is not binding. So what they're saying is that any Ijma' except for Ijma' Sahaba is not binding.
Yeah. Now I told you that Dawood al-Zahiri is known to have said that the Ijma' of the Sahaba is binding. As for what we know from Ahmad bin Hanbal, every narration that comes from anybody, we have to find a chain of narrators to it and find who said it. Do we have chain of narrators? The saying of Ahmad bin Hanbal, this is what we know he said. He said, من ادعى الإجماع فقد كذب. He said, this is clearly what he said. من ادعى الإجماع, look, this is clear. من ادعى الإجماع فقد كذب. Whoever claim that there is ijma', he has lied. وتلك دعوة بشر المريسي أحمد بن أبي دؤاد وبشر المريسي. This is the claim of Ahmad bin Abi Du'ad and Bishr Almarisey. Ahmad bin Abi Du'ad and Bishr Almarisey, when they used to get stuck, when they are asked about, when they used to say the Quran is created, and then when people ask them for their proofs, they will say this is the Ummah has agreed. You understand? So he said this is the claim of Ahmad bin Abi Du'ad and Bishr Almarisey. ما يدريهم. How do they know? These people who make a claim about Ijma', how do they know? لعل الناس اختلفوا. Maybe there are someone, maybe there is different opinion, maybe there is someone who had a different opinion. Now if Ahmad bin Hanbal have said this, and someone tells me that he said that except for the Sahaba, I will tell him, okay, give me the chain of narrators to this quote here. And then how can Ahmad bin Hanbal, is Ahmad bin Hanbal so... Ahmad bin Hanbal was an intelligent person, intelligent enough to understand that if you can't know that the Ummah, if he says the Ummah in his time may have different opinions, then even in the time of the Prophet, there was Sahaba from the early time. There was Sahaba in Bahrain, Bani Abdul Qais. There was Sahaba in Yemen. There was people who came to the Prophet and made bay'ah, and the Prophet told them, go and come back when you hear about me. And these people didn't hear a lot of ahkam from the Prophet. So how can they say the ijma' of the Sahaba here as well? You understand? How can he make claim that there is ijma' of Sahaba? Even Shafi'i, when he says ijma', and you know Shafi'i, you can call him, you can say that the one who made officially the ijma' as a source of religion. I mean, Shafi'i is the one who was asked about ijma' and he went and looked for a proof, because apparently he didn't hear it from his teachers. He didn't learn it before. That's why he went to look for proof, and he came with this ayah as proof, which not many people agree with. Shafi'i says, I am not calling ijma'. This is what he says in his book. I don't call ijma' except something that you will never meet any person of knowledge except that he will tell you that this is ijma'. It's mean that something that anyone that you will meet and ask, he will say this is ijma'. I'm not talking what I believe, I'm talking about the Shafi'i, the way when he introduced ijma', the way he saw it. He say, this is what he gave example. Dhuhr being 4 rak'ah. Where is this from the followers of Shafi'i who come later, and every time they got stuck in something, they have no proof in something from madhab. This is ijma'. It is ijma' not to do wudu from anything that fire has touched. I mean, you just have to take Sahih Muslim, for example, the Sharh of Nawawi or the Mabsut, or take the books of Shafi'i, books of Malikis, and the ijma', everything. Like you sometimes actually, and they admit this as well, you will find one madhab saying it is ijma' to sell the mother of the children like slaves who you have children with, and the other one he says it is ijma' not to sell them. This is the ijma' that we got.
That is the evidence that they bring forward.
No, I mean this is the ijma' went from Shafi'i introducing ijma' and saying ijma' is something that I call ijma' only something that you will never meet someone except that he will tell you the same thing, like prayers being 5. That is what Shafi'i calls ijma'. Later it became ijma' anything that I have no proof for it. Everything that Shafi'i have said and I don't have proof for it, this is ijma'. To the point where there is issues where there is a different opinions about them. Sahaba being differed in them, known, and then they will say this is ijma'. You understand? The fact, what people have done with ijma' is not an issue. It's question of whether the ijma' has brought good or ijma' has brought bad. It's not. This is not how I take my religion. Ijma' never brought any good, because the Prophet said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or let me not use this ayah, someone might understand it in a different way. Al-khayru la ya'ti illa bil-khayr. Look, good will bring good, and bad will bring bad. And these claims of ijma' have not brought except bad. People making takfir on others, people lying about the religion, people instead of going and learning the religion, you just rely, every time anyone can talk about the religion, what is your proof? This is ijma'.
These are big scholars. These are great scholars.
What?
Who have made these statements.
Statement about what?
About ijma' being a source.
Yeah, like give me a
Shafi'i, as you mentioned there.
I said Shafi'i made a statement. He agrees about. He says that ijma' is source of religion. I don't think he's right. I think he's wrong. However, when he said about ijma', he said some kind of ijma'. He said ijma' is anything that you will not find someone except that he will tell you the same thing.
But Shafi'i also restricts ijma' only to the Sahaba.
No, it's not. We don't have.
It's written in his Risala that he mentions
yes,
that specifically.
It's not, but you can see that is what he says in the Risala. But you can see that Shafi'i, from his statements, that he takes the ijma' up to his time. You understand? And we can see that the Shafi'is, or the majority of these people who say ijma' is the ijma' of the Sahaba, they will negate ijma' just by the saying of a tabi'i. How they see that, Allahu A'lam. Whether they say this tabi'i wouldn't have said it from his head unless he has knowledge from a sahabi or something. Yeah? Shafi'i in Risala, yes, he mentions the ijma' of the Sahaba
explicitly.
But when you talk, when he gives example, he will, like here, he say, I don't call ijma' except something that you will find no scholar. He didn't say you will find no sahabi or something. You understand? You have many people who have claimed ijma'.
Imam Razi as well.
To the point where if you tell me, mention someone of what we call Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah who said there is no ijma', probably I will not be able to give you, except I say Ahmad ibn Hanbal. But then his followers will disagree. Well, his statement is clear that he doesn't take ijma'.
But the rest of them will all take it in some form or shape, whether
yeah,
they
will say this is what he meant. This is not what you understand. Well, if someone says the Quran this is not what Allah meant. It's fine if he says Ahmad bin Hanbal, this is not what he meant.